The sun was warm, a gentle hand on Mr. Abernathy's face as he watched Billy chase pigeons in the park. Billy, all of 7 years old, a whirlwind of boundless energy, was the apple of Mr. Abernathy's eye. Mr. Abernathy himself was a picture of gentle age, his silver hair neatly combed, his kind eyes crinkling at the corners when he smiled. He wore a comfortable cardigan over a plaid shirt, and his hands, though gnarled with age, were steady as he held a bag of birdseed for Billy. "Careful, Billy, don't scare them all away," he chuckled, his voice a low, comforting rumble. Billy giggled, his small face alight with joy, as a flock of pigeons took flight, their wings beating a soft rhythm against the air. He ran back to his grandfather, his small hand reaching for another handful of seeds. "Grandpa, can we get ice cream after?" he asked, his eyes wide with hopeful anticipation. "Of course, Billy." "Ice cream sounds wonderful," Mr. Abernathy replied, his heart swelling with affection. He loved these simple moments, these quiet afternoons spent with his grandson. Life hadn't always been easy, but these moments made it all worthwhile. He watched Billy scatter more seeds, a contented sigh escaping his lips. To anyone observing, they were just an old man and his grandson, enjoying a peaceful day in the park. A heartwarming scene of familial love. Little did anyone suspect the truth that lay beneath the surface of this seemingly ordinary pair. The carefree laughter died in Billy's throat as 2 police officers approached, their faces grim and unreadable. The happy atmosphere of the park seemed to instantly evaporate. "Mr. Abernathy," one of the officers asked, his voice sharp and official. Mr. Abernathy straightened up, a flicker of unease crossing his face. "Yes, officer? Is there a problem?" "We need to ask you some questions about a recent incident," the officer said, his eyes never leaving Mr. Abernathy's. "There's been a kidnapping, and you fit the description of a possible suspect." Mr. Abernathy's eyebrows shot up in disbelief. "Kidnapping? Officer, you must be mistaken. I've been here all afternoon with my grandson." He gestured towards Billy, who was now clinging to his leg, his eyes wide with fear. "We understand, sir, but we need to take the boy into protective custody while we sort this out," the second officer said, stepping forward. "Protective custody? No. You can't just take him." Mr. Abernathy protested, his voice rising in alarm. He knelt down, putting his hands on Billy's shoulders. "It's okay, Billy. It's going to be all right. Grandpa won't let anything happen to you." Despite Mr. Abernathy's protests, the officers gently but firmly separated Billy from his grandfather. Billy started to cry, reaching for Mr. Abernathy. "Grandpa! I don't want to go," he wailed. "It's all right, son," the first officer said, trying to soothe him. "We just need to keep you safe for a little while." "This is a mistake," Mr. Abernathy said, his voice low and firm, his eyes fixed on the officers. "A very big mistake." But his words were lost as the officers led Billy away, the little boy's cries echoing in the suddenly silent park. As the police car pulled away, carrying a tearful Billy, a lesser man might have crumbled. Panic, rage, despair, all would have been understandable reactions. But Mr. Abernathy simply stood there, his gaze following the vehicle until it disappeared from sight. He took a deep breath, the air filling his lungs, and then slowly exhaled. There was a strange stillness about him, a quiet resolve that belied the turmoil of the moment. He hadn't screamed, hadn't pleaded, hadn't made a scene. Instead, he had focused on Billy, offering words of comfort and assurance. "It's all right, Billy," he had said, his voice calm despite the knot of fear tightening in his chest. "Grandpa will come for you. I promise." He repeated this to the officers, his voice devoid of anger, just a statement of fact. "You have made a big mistake." Now, alone in the park, that same calm demeanor remained. He wasn't paralyzed by fear or consumed by anger. There was a subtle shift in his posture, a straightening of his spine, a hardening of his gaze. The gentle old man had vanished, replaced by something else. Something more focused, more determined. He walked over to the park bench where they had been sitting and carefully gathered Billy's scattered toys and the half-empty bag of birdseed. He placed them neatly in his worn canvas bag. He moved with a deliberate purpose, each action precise and controlled. He wasn't wasting time on useless emotions. He had a grandson to get back. He knew exactly what he had to do. The police had made a mistake, yes, but they weren't his enemy. Not yet. The real enemy was still out there, and Mr. Abernathy intended to find him. And he would start by finding Billy. The park faded away, replaced by a stark, unforgiving desert landscape. A younger Mr. Abernathy, his face weathered and hardened, his body lean and muscular, moved with a silent grace that spoke of years of training. He was clad in camouflage, a rifle held firmly in his hands. The air crackled with tension. He was leading a small squad of soldiers through enemy territory. He barked orders in clipped, precise tones, his voice commanding and authoritative. He anticipated every move, every threat, his mind a whirlwind of calculations and strategies. He saw patterns where others saw chaos, opportunities where others saw only danger. Another scene flashed, a dimly lit room, filled with maps and tactical displays. Mr. Abernathy, now a captain, was briefing his team on a high-stakes mission. His words were clear, concise, and inspiring. He instilled confidence in his men, making them believe that even the impossible was within their reach. He was a master strategist, a brilliant tactician, a natural leader. Then, the images shifted again, medals being pinned on his chest, handshakes from high-ranking officers, the grateful smiles of people he had rescued. He was a hero, a legend, a force to be reckoned with. He was known only as Abernathy, a ghost who could appear and disappear at will. But that was a lifetime ago. That was a different man. Or was it? The skills, the training, the instincts, they were still there, buried beneath years of peaceful living. They were dormant, but not dead. And now, with Billy in danger, they were beginning to awaken. The old soldier was stirring within the gentle grandfather. The skills honed over decades of service, the instincts sharpened by countless life-or-death situations, they were ready to be unleashed once more. For Billy. Back at his modest suburban home, Mr. Abernathy moved with a speed and efficiency that belied his age. The gentle grandfather was gone, replaced by the focused operative. He bypassed his landline, instead retrieving a secure satellite phone from a hidden compartment in his study. Time was of the essence. His fingers danced across the keypad, dialing a series of numbers he hadn't used in years. Each call was brief, to the point. He didn't waste time with pleasantries. He simply stated his name, Abernathy, and his request, information. Old favors were called in, debts were collected. Within minutes, a network of contacts, scattered across the country and even overseas, was activated. Former military buddies, old informants, even a few individuals who owed him their lives, all were ready to assist. He learned that Billy was being taken to the local police precinct, held in a secure waiting area for children in protective custody. He also obtained the names and backgrounds of the two officers involved, Officer Miller and Officer Davis. Miller was a rookie, eager to prove himself. Davis was a seasoned veteran, known for his by-the-book approach. Neither had a history of corruption or misconduct. This wasn't a rogue operation, it was a genuine mistake. But that didn't make it any less dangerous for Billy. He also discovered the details of the kidnapping case that had triggered this whole mess. A wealthy businessman's daughter had been abducted, and the police were under immense pressure to find her. The description of the suspect was vague, an older man, grey hair, wearing a cardigan. It was a flimsy connection, but in their desperation, the police had jumped to conclusions. Mr. Abernathy now had a clear picture of the situation. He knew where Billy was, who had taken him, and why. Now, it was time to put his plan into action. The unassuming tool shed in Mr. Abernathy's backyard was more than it seemed. Hidden beneath a pile of gardening supplies, a false floor concealed a hidden compartment. Inside, neatly organized, was a collection of specialized equipment, tools from a past life, meticulously maintained and ready for action. There were no guns or knives. Mr. Abernathy preferred a less lethal approach, especially when dealing with law enforcement. Instead, he selected a lightweight grappling hook with a silent, motorized winch. He added a small, handheld EMP device, capable of temporarily disabling electronic systems. A set of lockpicks, honed to perfection over years of practice, completed his arsenal. He carefully packed the equipment into a modified messenger bag, designed to be discreet and easily accessible. He checked each item, ensuring it was in perfect working order. His movements were precise and efficient, each action deliberate and calculated. He replaced the false floor and covered it with the gardening tools, erasing any trace of his secret stash. He then changed out of his comfortable cardigan and plaid shirt, opting for dark, nondescript clothing that would allow him to blend into the shadows. He moved with a newfound agility, his body remembering the movements of a younger, more agile self. He paused for a moment, looking at his reflection in the shed window. The gentle old man was gone. In his place stood a seasoned operative, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. He wasn't seeking a fight, but he wouldn't hesitate to protect Billy. He was prepared to do whatever it took to bring his grandson home. He slung the messenger bag over his shoulder and stepped out of the shed, disappearing into the twilight. The police station was waiting. The police station buzzed with activity, officers moving to and fro, phones ringing incessantly. Mr. Abernathy, however, seemed invisible, a ghost in the machine. He approached from the rear, utilizing his knowledge of security protocols, gleaned from years of experience and augmented by the information he had gathered earlier. He identified a blind spot in the security camera coverage and slipped through a partially open loading dock door. He moved with a practiced silence, his footsteps barely audible. He knew the layout of the building, thanks to a schematic he had acquired from one of his contacts. He navigated the labyrinthine corridors, avoiding patrols and utilizing shadows to his advantage. He bypassed locked doors with ease, his lockpicks working with a surgeon's precision. He disabled security alarms with the EMP device, creating temporary blackouts that allowed him to move undetected. He observed the officers, studying their routines, their habits, their blind spots. He learned that Officer Miller was currently on patrol in the front of the building, while Officer Davis was stationed near the holding cells. He also located the children's waiting area, a brightly lit room filled with toys and games. He could hear Billy's faint cries. He knew he had to act quickly and decisively. He couldn't risk a direct confrontation. He needed to create a diversion, to draw the officers away from Billy. He had a plan, and it was time to put it into motion. He moved towards the main power distribution panel, a mischievous glint in his eye. The station was about to experience a minor inconvenience. One that would allow Mr. Abernathy to reach his grandson. The lights flickered and died, plunging the police station into momentary darkness. Alarms blared, adding to the chaos. Mr. Abernathy used the distraction to slip into the children's waiting area. Officer Davis, startled by the sudden power outage, was momentarily disoriented. "Billy," Mr. Abernathy whispered, his voice calm but urgent. Billy, recognizing his grandfather, ran to him, relief flooding his face. "Grandpa," he cried, throwing his arms around Mr. Abernathy's legs. "It's okay, son. I'm here now," Mr. Abernathy reassured him. Officer Davis, recovering from his surprise, drew his weapon. "Hold it right there. Put your hands up." Mr. Abernathy calmly raised his hands, but his eyes remained fixed on Officer Davis. "Officer, you've made a mistake. I'm not the man you're looking for." He reached into his messenger bag and pulled out a tablet, displaying a series of clear, high-resolution photographs. These are security camera stills from the jewelry store across the street from the park. They show the real kidnapper, taken just an hour ago. Notice the distinctive tattoo on his left hand, a serpent coiled around a dagger. Does that match my description, officer? Officer Davis lowered his weapon, his face etched with confusion. He studied the images, his eyes widening in realization. That's not you." "No, it's not," Mr. Abernathy replied, his voice firm. "And I have witnesses who can confirm that I was with Billy all afternoon. Now, I suggest you let us go. I understand you're under pressure, but you're wasting your time with the wrong man." Officer Davis hesitated, his mind racing. He knew he had made a mistake, but he couldn't just let Mr. Abernathy walk away. "I can't do that, sir. I need to verify this information." Mr. Abernathy sighed. "I was hoping to avoid this." In a flash, he moved with blinding speed, disarming Officer Davis with a series of precise, non-lethal strikes. He secured the officer's weapon and gently guided him to the floor. "I don't want to hurt you, officer. But I'm not leaving without my grandson." "Officer Miller will be here any second," Mr. Abernathy stated calmly, keeping a watchful eye on the doorway. "He's a good man, eager to do his job. I don't want him getting hurt." He knelt down, speaking to Officer Davis in a low, respectful tone. "I know you were just following orders. But you need to understand, I'm not against you. I'm against the man who kidnapped that little girl." He pulled out the tablet again, displaying a map with a marked location. "He's hiding out at an abandoned warehouse on the docks, Pier 17. He's working with a known accomplice, a woman named Sarah Jenkins. They plan to move the girl out of state tonight." Officer Davis, still slightly dazed, stared at the map. How do you know this?" "I have my sources," Mr. Abernathy replied cryptically. "The important thing is that you act quickly. The girl's life is in danger." He then provided Officer Davis with a detailed description of the kidnapper's vehicle, its license plate number, and the weapons they were likely carrying. He paused, his gaze hardening. "This isn't just about clearing my name, officer. It's about saving a child. I could have simply walked away, but that's not who I am. I believe in justice. And I believe in helping those who can't help themselves." Just then, Officer Miller burst into the room, his weapon drawn. He stopped short, seeing Officer Davis on the floor and Mr. Abernathy standing protectively in front of Billy. "What's going on here?" he demanded, his voice tense. Officer Davis, after a moment of hesitation, spoke up. "Miller, he's telling the truth. He's not the kidnapper. And he knows where the real one is." He quickly relayed the information Mr. Abernathy had provided, his voice filled with urgency. "We need to move, now." Sirens wailed as police cars raced towards Pier 17, their lights cutting through the night. Mr. Abernathy and Billy waited patiently in the now brightly lit waiting room, Officer Miller standing guard, his expression a mix of embarrassment and gratitude. News soon arrived. The police had apprehended the real kidnapper and his accomplice, rescuing the businessman's daughter unharmed. The little girl was safe, thanks to Mr. Abernathy's information and quick thinking. Officer Davis, his arm in a sling, approached Mr. Abernathy, his face contrite. "Mr. Abernathy, I owe you an apology. We made a terrible mistake. We were so focused on finding the girl that we jumped to conclusions. I'm truly sorry for what we put you and Billy through." Officer Miller nodded in agreement. "We're both incredibly grateful for your help, sir. You could have just walked away, but you chose to do the right thing. You helped us save a little girl's life." Mr. Abernathy simply nodded, accepting their apologies with grace. "It's all right, officers. Mistakes happen. The important thing is that the girl is safe, and Billy is back with me." He turned to Billy, who was clinging tightly to his hand. "Ready to go home, son?" Billy nodded eagerly, his eyes sparkling with happiness. "Can we still get ice cream, Grandpa?" Mr. Abernathy smiled. "Of course, Billy. Anything you want." As they walked out of the police station, Officer Davis called out, "Mr. Abernathy, one more thing. If you ever need anything at all, please don't hesitate to call. You've earned our respect." Mr. Abernathy smiled slightly, offering a simple nod in return. He knew that he had made a lasting impression on those officers. They had underestimated him, thinking he was just a frail old man. But they had learned the truth, that beneath the gentle exterior lay a force to be reckoned with. The next afternoon, Mr. Abernathy and Billy returned to the park. The sun was shining, the birds were singing, and the air was filled with the sounds of children playing. Everything seemed normal, yet everything had changed. They sat on the same bench where they had been the day before, sharing a bag of birdseed. Billy was a little quieter than usual, but his eyes held a newfound sense of admiration for his grandfather. "Grandpa, you were so brave," he said softly, his voice filled with awe. "You saved me." Mr. Abernathy smiled, his eyes crinkling at the corners. "I did what any grandpa would do, Billy. I love you very much." He watched Billy scatter seeds for the pigeons, a sense of contentment washing over him. He had lived a long and eventful life, filled with both joy and sorrow. He had seen the best and the worst of humanity. He had used his skills to fight for his country, to protect innocent lives. He thought about his past, about the man he used to be. He had tried to leave that life behind, to find peace and tranquility in his retirement. But he had learned that some skills, some instincts, never truly fade away. And sometimes, they are needed once more. He realized that his past wasn't something to be ashamed of, but something to be embraced. He could use his skills for good, even in his old age. He could protect those he loved, and he could make a difference in the world. He looked at Billy, his heart swelling with love. He knew that his most important mission was to be a good grandfather, to teach Billy the values of courage, compassion, and justice. And he knew that he was ready for whatever challenges life might bring. The sun began to set, casting long shadows across the park. Mr. Abernathy put his arm around Billy, drawing him close. They sat in silence, watching the pigeons fly off to roost, their bond strengthened by the events of the past 2 days. They were just an old man and his grandson, enjoying a peaceful evening in the park. But they were also so much more. And they were ready for anything.